All right. So, hello everyone, and yet again here I'm going to be, well, actually not yet again. This is the first time. I'm going to have a couple changes coming to ZyoriTV here, and the biggest change, I think I'm going to start doing video blogs from now on, so, or vlogs, if you will. So I'm going to cut down on the writing and more the video, and I'm going to start recording them ahead of time and then posting them live. So instead of sort of mixing in random bloggy stuff with our cast, I'm going to try and separate those out a little bit here. I'm going to move this chair. That is just so obnoxious. There we go. There we go. Okay, so anyhow, today is June 21st. It's about 1:30 p.m. This is my first day home from DreamHack Summer 2012. I landed last night at I landed last night around 12 and got home around 1 a.m. and here we are, bright and early, feeling a little jet lagged, hair feeling a little funky, but all in all feeling pretty. My voice, actually, I actually said on the last day of it, I'm so glad I didn't lose my voice, and now I'm like, my voice. So, you know, sucking down this peppermint tea best I can. And yeah, I just want to talk about DreamHack a little bit, recap, and just give some of my reactions while it's still all fresh in my mind, and I took some notes, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, obviously, DreamHack was pretty fucking awesome. There were some issues along the way, some tech issues, some lag issues, scheduling problems, but I don't want to talk about that stuff as much as just talk about what the experience was like from my perspective, sitting up in the casting booth, talking to people, you know, and some of my reactions to stuff. So I guess I want to start with the first thing I want to say is I never knew I could work that hard for that long. The first day I casted for just about 14 hours straight. I think we got there, prepared for opening ceremony around 2, and I believe I got back to my hotel room like 5:30 a.m. or something. And then the next day I slept for about 4 hours and was ready to go. Did pretty much the same thing, casted for a good 12, and again, 4 hours of sleep, then moved into the last day of Mid-Wars, which wasn't quite as stressful. We had Phil casting on the last day, Xander casting a little bit, and of course Diva stepped in quite a bit to give Breaky and I both a break, but still intense hours. And you know, there comes a point where the adrenaline just kicks in, and it's like, you just keep going. That first day, at about the 12-hour mark, I went down to our executive producer and said, I can keep going, but right now, there just comes a point when you can't even make sense of what's happening on the screen. You know, the team fights just look like swirls of colors. It gets to the point where you're just sort of reading the text, like, all right, looks like Nova's going to be able to finish you off Glacius there. Okay, all right, you know. So it definitely got a little bit rough as it went on. But I know I got a lot of tells and emails and stuff from people saying that they just appreciated the long hours. I even got messages from people saying stuff like, you know, I'm really not a big fan of you as a caster, and I've never really liked listening to you, but I just have to say I really admire the amount of hours you're putting in for this event. And, you know, comments like that just like make me melt a little bit inside. Seeing that, you know, while I'm casting, I purposefully don't sit on D&D so that I can hear what people are saying and respond if necessary. And to hear people say that is just, that really means a lot. So that really made me happy. You know, it was really cool, and for me, you know, this was my first time doing anything remotely like this, anything this big. I've casted 2 live LAN events before, but only in front of a crowd of like 50 or 100 people. You know, not mic, just with my raw voice, that kind of stuff, which is sort of similar, but this was just completely different. You know, there are a lot of funny pictures on Reddit. A really funny video that somebody posted of Breaky and I making funny faces and like catching us going like, at each other. It was pretty gay, but it was a really funny video. We had a lot of fun in the production booth, laughing and stuff. So, you know, I want to say as well at the beginning, in the opening ceremony, as well as the very beginning of the finals, I was so nervous. I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my life. Throughout the entire event, I ate about 1 meal per day. Any more than that, and my stomach just wasn't having it. I mean, the nerves were ridiculous. So I heard a lot of people say, oh, Zyori looks so nervous. I was. It is so nerve-wracking being in front of that camera, wearing a tie, you know, knowing the crowd is there, knowing there's thousands of people listening at home. It is so nerve-wracking. I loosened up a bit, but that opening ceremony as well as the very beginning of the finals, I just, you know, sort of the first time a little bit speechless. Just didn't really know what to say. The nerves are just sort of, I'm drawing a blank here. You know, for the finals, I have to give just the biggest shout out to Breaky CPK for helping to pick up some of my slack. You know, that we've been casting together long enough that sort of unwritten or unspoken sense of my nervousness came through. You know, some people were saying in the finals, like, oh, Breaky talked more than you know, that kind of stuff. He did, and that was because I was nervous. And he even said at the end, oh, yeah, it seemed like you didn't have as much to say, and I was like, no, dude, you know, you've done this before. I was so nervous. I was glad that he was there to pick up some of the slack and, you know, keep some of that filler going when I didn't know what to say. You know, Breaky is really, really good at what he does. He's really good on camera. He's really good at being animated, and I'm a little more stiff, just kind of like, yep, game coming up, you know. So I learned a lot just from being able to work with Breaky and also just you know, talk to him and you know, bump ideas off of him. So that was really an absolute pleasure. And the finals, I have to say, the finals were very, very difficult. Knowing that the players could hear us, there were a lot of times where I was about to say something, then just kind of went, back to you, Breaky, because I didn't have a backup plan. You know, I was just like, I'm about to say he's about to get. Never mind, because they haven't seen him pick up that shrunken head yet. So that was actually really, really difficult. I've never casted anything like that where you know, the players are watching or have the ability to listen, I should say. So that was really, really tricky. I actually did get to watch some of the finals VOD, though, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. Doing it live, it felt like it was really, really rough, but it was actually, I think it turned out pretty well. You know, sort of the average viewer, I don't think you would really notice that, you know, I was as nervous as I felt like it was sounding. You know, and also that microphone headset they had was really strange. The little headset didn't really fit on my head right. So if you'll notice, like, the microphone was like this, and then it curved down because it's supposed to just be angled straight down into your mouth, but for some reason it was angled up, and it didn't fit right. And I noticed, like, in the StarCraft finals, Diapollo had the same headset I had, the one on the right if you're watching, and it's screwed up. And so I kept trying to adjust it, and then it fell off my ear in between the games. Then when I was trying to put it back on, it got tangled up in my hair. It was a mess. So I was having microphone issues the whole time, and we were mic'd, and then we had headphones in so that we could hear what the other person was saying and cancel out some of the audience noise. And I kept picking up my own breathing, so I was really paranoid that it was, you know, me, like, causing some of that extra sound, but it didn't pick any of that up. And also that those little sound issues that we were having, the, like, little bit of feedback, I thought that might have been me as well whenever I bumped my little wireless recorder. So I was making an effort not to move at all, which made me look even more stiff. So the finals were an experience in and of themselves. I've never been somewhere where someone's like, "Oh, you get up in the chair and then I'll put the makeup on you." I'm like, wow, this got really serious really quick here. But it was really cool. It was great. You know, and then be able to go down and see the teams and stuff. So for me, it was a great learning experience. So other than that, of course, I just want to say thanks to S2 for making it possible. Thanks to everybody that tuned in, because it's making me smile. It's making me crazy. I feel comfortable now saying I'm a professional broadcaster, having worked in a situation like this, working with TriCaster and that kind of stuff. But I do just want to talk about a couple of things here from DreamHack, most notably Team It's Gosu dropping out of the event, because I think there's a lot of misunderstood stuff going on. I'm really glad one of the forum mods closed that thread that was just getting totally out of hand, because a lot of that stuff was just completely uncalled for. So what happened was Team It's Gosu was participating in the BYOC as well as the Swedish National Championship, or whatever that tournament was called, the Swedish only one that they ended up losing second, or getting second place to Team Mono. Everyone was saying, well, you shouldn't have signed up for both tournaments if you couldn't handle it. That was not the issue. They were told from the get-go that they would be able to do both. It's not like they signed up and said, oh, let's just give it a go. They knew it was going to be crazy, and ahead of time they specifically asked both tournament organizers and everybody involved, can we participate in both? And they were told they absolutely would be able to. They were told that they would be able to get a moderate amount of sleep, and they would be able to continue in both tournaments, and the schedules would be somewhat comparable, that it would be flexible enough that they can make it happen. Obviously, that wasn't the case. The first day in the BYOC, they played for something like 15 hours straight. They slept for an hour and a half, and then they would have had to play for 10 hours straight the next day. Having been on a similar schedule to those players as we were casting around the same time that they were playing, it becomes unrealistic to expect a team to perform after that. A lot of people in that thread saying, oh, you know, that's bad sportsmanship. Any other good team would have been there and performed. No, they wouldn't have. There comes a point where sleep deprivation kicks in, and you cannot play. I talked to Pallet and Fitzgay, and I talked to Pallet for quite a while, and he was saying, you know, we didn't want to drop out. We really didn't want to. He said, I was playing so bad, I felt like an 1100 scrub. There was one point where he said he died to creeps. And he said, and it's not even intentional. He said, we were still trying, but your brain is just so fried from staring at the screen for that long. Your decision-making isn't there. So they gave it their best shot. They came up, they slept their hour and a half, they woke up. The next day, they went 1-3 in the group stages. And they lost to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. At that point, it was possible for them to make it if they had beaten TDM. Well, no, the complaint people had is if they had kept playing and they had beaten TDM and not given that walkover, it could have been a draw for that fourth place spot between TDM and Orange Esports, meaning Orange Esports would have had a chance through a tiebreak to make it into the top 4 over TDM. Now, that sounds great, but the chances of TIG beating TDM are very, very slim. At that point, they lost to teams that TDM had already beaten, and they were playing terribly. So they decided, you know what, we need to just throw in the towel. Now we can just focus on the Swedish Championship. They planned ahead. And part of it was just not fair because the scheduling got messed up, and they were told at the beginning that they would be able to sleep and they would be able to make it happen. So just to those people on the forum saying, terrible sportsmanship, I hope your sponsor drops you. You guys need a fucking wake-up call, because that's not how it was at all. It's not like It's Ghost was just like, no, we're just going to roll over, we don't want to play anymore. They really wanted to play. I talked to Hackster about an hour after it happened, and I could just see in his face that he was morbidly disappointed. I mean, it looked like he was about to break down and cry, because Hackstern's a player that operates on pride, and for him, it's not about the money, it's not about the fame, it's about coming and giving your best and winning, giving 110%. And at the end of the day, being able to say to yourself, I did my absolute best today, and that was all I could do. So I mean, it's just astonishing to me that people misinterpreted that situation so poorly. So I certainly understand why Team It's Ghost did what they did. I have to say I probably would have done the same thing in their position, and I really don't think they deserve nearly as much of the flack as they got. You could probably make a case that that they knew a little bit of what they were getting into, but just keep in mind ahead of time they were definitely told that the schedule would be much different than it ended up being. So I certainly understand. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that and hopefully clear up the air a little bit. I don't think there's any bad sportsmanship, and it seems most of the teams agreed that for Team It's Ghost that was an acceptable choice. They understood why that was happening, the reasoning behind it, and everyone else that I talked to at the event and the other teams were like, it makes sense. And it's unfortunate that had to happen, but I can definitely see why that decision was made. So just tread lightly when it comes to talking shit on the Team It's Gosu players, because believe me when I say it was just as hard for them as it was for you watching them drop out. So yeah, that about wraps it up. Actually, I don't have too much. I mean, there are some other things to talk about, but still my brain is decompressing. Very stressful weekend. I don't think last DreamHack I was equally sleep deprived. I didn't have any responsibilities, so it didn't feel as bad. So I'm still going through the process of uploading all the pictures, doing more videos and stuff. I do have a lot of breakdowns coming up. Hopefully I have some really cool content. I talked to a lot of players and I was there, and it was really awesome being able to talk to Moon and B-Kid and really getting to know these players as people and not just Han personalities. So I have a lot of cool ideas for breakdowns that should be coming up in the near future. Like I said, I'm going to be doing vlogs instead of blogs coming up, so there's going to be a lot more stuff. I know a lot of people are curious about League of Legends and all that stuff. I'm going to give more of a formal introduction about exactly what to expect and my schedule and that kind of stuff as time progresses. Keep in mind, though, I'm not 100% switching from Han to League. I'm going to be doing both. I'm going to be doing Heroes of North and League of Legends. I'm doing esports full-time. There's more than enough hours in the week to handle both titles, so keep that in mind as well. It's not a 100% black and white kind of thing. I guess the last comment I'll make is Black Fade disbanding. I don't have much information on it other than what you guys have on Han News and Reddit and the competitive forums. It does pain me, but I think all the players are going to be sticking around. It was great to meet all of them. I spent a lot of time talking to Les QQ at the S2 dinner as well, and he's a really, really nice guy. So on that note, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I will hopefully be posting a serious vlog entry in the very near future, so you guys can certainly enjoy that. Head over to facebook.com/ZyoriTV and check out the pictures, and support all the teams that are at the event. And just a shout out to you guys for watching and enjoying DreamHack. But until the next video, take care.